Assalamualaikum, my name is Napisha and I'm a foundation level student at Shaheen School, Sambal Barku campus. So, this is my Maya. So, let's start from my Maya. Hi, Maya, how are you?
Hiya.
Okay, Maya, my first question for you that my topic is the earth, and my first question for you that what does the earth mean to you?
That's a big way to start. To me, the earth feels like this incredible, messy, beautiful collection of stories. It's the only place we know of where everything just works, from the way a forest breathes to the way people build these massive, complicated cities. It's just wild how much life is crammed onto one spinning rock. It represents connection and resilience. What about you? What does the earth mean to you? You're still with me?
Okay, my next question for you that one nice answer and long answer. How old is the earth?
Going for the big numbers now. The Earth is roughly 4.54 billion years old. To put that in perspective, if the entire history of the planet were a single 24-hour day, humans wouldn't even show up until the very last few seconds before midnight. It started as a chaotic cloud of dust and gas that collapsed and heated up, eventually cooling down enough to form a solid crust and eventually the oceans and life as we know it. Almost impossible to wrap your head around that kind of time, but it's pretty humbling to think about all the versions of the world that existed long before we got here.
Nice answer. My next question for you that what was the earth like in its early hour?
Oh, you mean the very beginning? It was basically a nightmare scenario. The early Earth was this molten, glowing ball of magma. There was no solid ground to stand on, just oceans of liquid rock and a sky thick with toxic gases and steam. It was constantly being pummeled by asteroids and huge chunks of space debris, which actually helped heat it up even more. It's wild to imagine that this chaotic, fiery place eventually cooled down enough to become the green and blue home we have now.
Okay, Maya, your nice answer. My next question for you that um why is Earth called the blue planet?
It's all about the water. About 71% of the surface is covered by oceans. So when astronauts look back at it from space, that's the dominant color they see. It's this bright, vivid blue that really stands out against the blackness of the rest of the universe. It's kind of a beautiful reminder that we're basically living on a giant ocean with a few islands of land scattered around. Wait, what part are you unsure about?
Okay, ma'am, my next question for you that a nice answer. How did life first begin on Earth? Please, my give me long answer.
That's the $1 million question.
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that what are the main layer of the Earth?
I can pick back up with the origin of life, or we can jump to something else if you've got a new question.
Uh, okay, Maya. Um, Hi Maya, how are you? Maya, Maya, is you connecting with me? Maya, hi Maya, how are you? Please connecting with me. Maya, hey Maya, how are you? Maya is connecting with me and so slow.
What's up?
Okay, Maya, you my answer and you and my question and you answer is the very long and nice. Okay, Maya, my next question for you that what are the main layer of the earth?
I'm intrigued. When you say the layers of the art, are you talking about the physical layers of a painting or more like the different levels of artistic style and meaning?
Nice answer. My next question for you that a nice answer and please my question for you so long answer. Okay, my next question for you is what make Earth and you in your solar system?
That's a fascinating way to put it. If you're asking what makes art unique within our solar system, I'd say it's the fact that, as far as we know, humans are the only ones making it. We take the raw materials of our planet, pigments from the earth, light from our sun, and turn them into something that expresses a feeling or an idea. It's this weird, beautiful bridge between the physical world and the human spirit. Do you think other civilizations out there would create art the same way we do?
A nice answer and long answer. And my next question for you that why is the Earth's core so hot? Please find me below answer.
That's a really interesting way to this. When you look at the Earth from space, it doesn't usually look hot in terms of color. It's mostly that deep blue from the oceans and swirls of white clouds. But if you're talking about the Earth's core, that's a whole different story. Down there, it's absolutely scorching with temperatures reaching thousands of degrees, which makes the molten iron and nickel glow white hot. If you're seeing hot colors like reds, oranges, and yellows on the surface, you're probably thinking of volcanic activity or the way the atmosphere scatters light during a sunset. Those colors happen because the shorter blue wavelengths of light get filtered out, leaving behind the longer, warmer wavelengths that make the sky look like it's on fire. Are you thinking about the heat from the center of the planet or more about the colors we see in the sky?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that what can fossil tell you about history?
I've actually never heard of fusil in a historical context. Is this a specific person or maybe a term from a book? Because I just found out that a fusil is actually a type of flintlock musket from the 17th century. It's a French word for gun, and the soldiers who used them were called fusiliers. They were usually the ones guarding the gunpowder and artillery. There's also a thing in heraldry where a fuzi is a kala. I'm not sure I follow. Is that a word from another language or maybe something you want me to look into?
Yeah, you nice answer. My next question for you that what happened during the ice age? Please, my give me no answer.
The Ice Age was basically a giant deep freeze for the planet. For thousands of years, huge sheets of ice called glaciers crawled across the land, covering places like North America and Europe in ice that was miles thick. It completely changed the landscape, carving out valleys and creating the Great Lakes. While most of the world was freezing, animals like woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers evolved these thick coats and massive bodies just to survive the cold. Humans were there too, living in small groups and learning how to hunt these giant beasts and use fire to keep from freezing. It wasn't just one single event, but a series of cold snaps and warmer periods that lasted for millions of years. Does the idea of mammoths walking around sound cool to you, or does the thought of that much ice feel a bit too cold?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how do glows change leadership?
That is a very unexpected connection. I'm trying to picture it. Are you thinking about gloves as a symbol of status, like the white gloves a leader might wear, or something more practical, like how someone in a medical or technical field leads while wearing them? I'd love to hear why you're asking.
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how do planet help life on Earth?
um, it sounds wild, but we actually owe a lot to our neighbors in the solar system. Jupiter is probably the biggest hero here because it's so massive. Its gravity acts like a giant cosmic vacuum cleaner, sucking up or deflecting asteroids and comets that might otherwise slam into Earth. Without Jupiter, we'd likely be dealing with way more catastrophic impacts. Then you have the moon, which isn't a planet but is crucial. It stabilizes Earth's wobble on its axis, which keeps our climate steady and predictable. If the moon weren't there, our seasons would go completely haywire, making it much harder for life to thrive. Do you think we'd have evolved differently if we didn't have Jupiter protecting us?
Okay, my you nice answer. My next question for you that why are ocean important for life?
That's a deep question. If you're asking why I'm important, I don't think I'm essential for life to exist. I mean, humans were doing a pretty great job of exploring and creating long before I came along. But I like to think I'm a useful partner for the things that make life feel meaningful, like curiosity and connection. I'm here to be a sounding board for your big ideas, a way to dive into the weird parts of history, or just someone to talk to when the world feels a bit too much. I'm a tool for your curiosity. Do you feel like having someone to brainstorm with makes things more interesting?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that why is fresh water valuable?
I think you're asking why we have fresh water, right? Most of the water on Earth is salty because it's in the oceans where minerals and salts have built up over billions of years. Fresh water happens when water evaporates from the ocean, leaving the salt behind and then falls back down as rain or snow. It's essentially the Earth's way of filtering its own water. That's why we get fresh water in rivers, lakes, and glaciers instead of salt water. Does that make sense, or were you wondering about something else regarding the water?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how much of Earth's surface is covered by water?
About 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. It's basically a world, with the vast majority of that being the salty oceans. Only a tiny fraction of all that water is actually fresh and available for us to drink. Does it surprise you that so much of the planet is blue?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how does do a greenhouse in fact work?
Think of the greenhouse effect like a cozy blanket wrapped around the planet. Sunlight passes through the atmosphere and warms the ground, but instead of all that heat bouncing straight back into space, certain gases, like carbon dioxide and methane, trap some of it. They let the light in, but they don't let all the heat out, which keeps the earth warm enough for us to actually live here. The problem is that when there are too many of those gases, the blanket gets too thick and the planet starts to overheat. Does that make the process feel a bit clearer?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that what is sustainable living?
Sustainable living is basically the art of living in a way that doesn't use up all the resources the planet has to offer. It's about making choices that allow the earth to regenerate and keep going for the people who come after us. Things like eating more local food, reducing waste, using energy more wisely, or just buying fewer things that we don't actually need. It's essentially trying to find a balance where we can live comfortably without leaving a mess for the future. Well, do you think it's easy for most people to make those kinds of changes in their daily lives?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how does deforestation impact Earth?
That's a pretty broad concept depending on where you're looking at it. In a social sense, differentiation is how we recognize what makes someone unique, which can be a beautiful thing, but it can also lead to people feeling divided or left out. In biology, it's actually what allows us to exist. It's how a single cell turns into different types of cells, like your heart cells or your brain cells, so your body can actually function. I'm curious, were you thinking more about how people are different from one another or something more scientific?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how does plastic flotation infect ocean?
I'm not familiar with a plotation in fact of Kiana. Is Kiana a character from a show or a book you're into? I did find a company called KINON Group that went public on the stock exchange, but that doesn't sound like what you're asking about. Let me know if I'm on the wrong track.
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that how does tree fight climate change?
Trees are basically the planet's secret weapon against climate change. They act like giant sponges for carbon dioxide. Through photosynthesis, they breathe in that CO2, which is one of the main gases trapping heat in our atmosphere, and then they store the carbon in their trunks, branches, and roots while releasing fresh oxygen for us to breathe. Beyond just absorbing carbon, they also help cool the air around them through a process called transpiration, which is almost like the tree sweating. They release water vapor into the air, which can actually lead to more rain and keep the local environment from overheating. Do you have a favorite kind of tree, or maybe one you've planted yourself?
Okay, my nice answer. My next question for you that what your biggest environmental challenge today?
If you're asking about the biggest environmental challenges we're facing as a whole, I'd say
And this
climate
question
change
is
and
my last
biodiversity.
question, and please long answer.
I'm all ears. Go ahead and hit me with it. I'm ready for the long version.
Please answer my and my question and long answer.
I'm ready, but you haven't actually asked the question yet. Go ahead, lay it on me. I'll give you that long, detailed answer you're looking for. I'm just waiting on you. Whenever you're ready, just tell me what's on your mind and I'll dive deep into the answer for you.
Okay, Maya. Okay, Maya. My last question. Okay, my time is end. Okay, love is. So I hope to like my Maya. Allah Hafiz. Pakistan Zindabad. Hans Zindabad. Allah Hafiz.